You know, there's some good guns, there's some bad guns, there's some old guns, there's some okay guns, there's some guns I would never trust or recommend, and then there's others that are just quite simply on another level, and that's what I'm going to talk about today as I show you 7 of those next level firearms. Now, just because these guns are on another level doesn't mean that they are unobtainable as far as pricing. Some of them are very expensive, but others are at least reasonable. And so I think this list is best for probably people that are already established in firearms. Like they already know this is something they're super passionate about. Maybe they already have their first 1 or 2 ARs, they have some pistols and stuff, but they just want guns that are like, like really freaking good or really solid, or will take their skills maybe in a different direction. Now, typically, I don't really correlate the gun with the skill that somebody has, but some of these guns will make you feel like you are a better shooter. Regardless if that's true or not, you're going to feel that way. And so these guns are really good. But again, I didn't want to throw a whole bunch of guns out there that are freaking, $2,500, $3,000 and more. So I tried to get some in there that are at least right at 1,000 or maybe even a little less, and some that will go up quite a ways as well. And so no matter where you fall as far as your gun ownership, if you're a first-time gun owner, or if you've been owning guns for 50 years now, which is longer than I've been alive, either way I want to hear from you. What are some of your favorite guns on this list? Do you find it worth it to buy some of these next level firearms? Or do you simply think it's a waste of money? I'd love to hear your opinion either way. Of course, if you like what I do, consider subscribing with your notifications on. And if you want to become a part of the SHOT Team, you can do that through Patreon, or you can do it right here on YouTube and never have to leave the site. If you want to check out all my socials, one link through Linktree. I have that down in the description as well. Let's go and get into it. First one I'm going to bring to the table is one that I recently did a review on. At this point, I don't know if it's still in members only or if it's public. Either way, it's already been done, and this gun is just absolutely incredible. Now, I didn't want to start with a gun this expensive, but I was holding on to it there in the intro, so I said, hey, let's go ahead and do this. This is the APC 308 from B&T. So if you're familiar with Swiss watches, you know they're just on another level. This is the Swiss watch of battle rifles. We even have the APC 556 here. This is another just incredible example. Now, B&T actually started in the 90s, so they haven't really been around, a really long time compared to some of the other established brands out there, but they've made a name for themselves through high quality guns, suppressors, pistols, PDWs, all of that stuff, because everything they put, especially on this APC 308, is just almost perfect. You have an adjustable gas system. You have ambidextrous controls throughout. Now, some of the small attention to detail, first of all, check out the size of the rail. It's a monolithic rail, but you have 1913 Picatinny on the top and the bottom, but you have M-LOK on the sides. And so even though it's a 308, even though it's a battle rifle, it's still small enough where you can do a thumb over bore, especially with a good vertical grip right there. The charging handles actually lay down when you're not using them, but they are canted, and so they have a relief cut in there. So when you slide your finger down the receiver, if you need to, then you pull them out, and they're instantly pretty much going to pull out to the side. And not only are they ambidextrous, but they're non-reciprocating. Your bolt release and bolt stop, all in one and the same, and you have your magazine release all right here. So all of your controls, I even have smaller hands, and I've just barely got to break my grip a little bit to be able to work both of these controls. If I need to pull the bolt up, or if I need to release the bolt, I can do all that. Magazine release, safety. I can operate that with my thumb on the left side, my index finger on the right. Flat face trigger. You can operate this trigger. It's literally, they say it's a 2-stage trigger. It feels like a single stage trigger. It really is pretty incredible. Reset, just as good. Notice the copper bronze area on the back of the receiver here. It's also got the cool factor, so that is part of it. Now, another thing they've done here is this stock. So it's a adjustable stock, cheek riser. It is a super solid lockup. This goes for both guns. And one thing you'll notice when I go to deploy, that thing gets right back in place where you need it super quickly and smoothly. Another thing they've done is they have a traditional guide rod and spring, but this also has a hydraulic buffer. So it's a little shock absorber back here in the rear, which mitigates a ton of the recoil. So when you shoot this, if you've ever shot other 308s, some of them are pretty hard hitting, you know, not very comfortable. This gun is almost like shooting a 5.56. It really is that smooth. I could go on and on and on, but I've done a full video on this gun, so if you want to check out more on it. This thing, if you're looking for a SCAR, don't buy a SCAR until you actually look at and or shoot the APC 308, because I think this gun is actually better than the SCAR. Now, in 1975, there was a gun that came out that is part of the Wonder Nines, and this is the CZ75. And since then, the CZ75 is not only one of the most copied guns in the world, but it also has gone through its own iterations and variations, and this one specifically is the Shadow 2 Black and Blue. Now, they have the orange version, the TS version of this gun. They have optics ready, non-optics ready. They have regular CZ75s. You have the SP01, SP01 Tacticals. There's a bunch of different variations of this gun, but even at its core, the CZ75 is literally on another level when it comes to handguns. Now, they have some weight to them, especially this one. It's not for deep concealment. It's for range, competition, home defense, and being able to train somebody. And one of the best features on this gun is not only the all-metal construction, not only the fact that it definitely does have the cool factor, not the checkering on the back and the front strap, even though all that stuff is great, maybe not even the trigger, even though the trigger is really, really fantastic, especially the single action. The double action is actually pretty good too, but it is the slide on top. And so as opposed to the slide riding on top of rails, the slide rides on the inside of the rails. That keeps the bore axis very low, meaning the gun sits lower in your hand, so the recoil, all of that stuff is mitigated, and it keeps this gun really flat shooting. And so you just, again, you got to put one in your hands to really appreciate how much better this gun is than a lot of the competition out there. And while they may be expensive, this one right here you can get for typically right under $1,000, depending on where you go. This thing is just really super smooth at the range. Adjustable set of sights, fiber optic in the front. If I were to go back and do it again, I'd probably buy the optics ready version for a couple $100 more. But either way, the CZ75, no matter what version you get, is just a whole another level of pistol. And I'm telling you, when you put one in your hands, you can appreciate how good this pistol really is. Now, next guns I want to talk about are some 5.56 guns. And so I kind of lumped all these guns together just to give you a variety. And the one of the main ones I want to focus on here is the SIG 516. So, if you're looking at your first AR, people will typically go with like the cheapest option that they can. They'll talk to their friends, they might watch some reviews, and depending upon the reviewer that you watch, some may say PSA, others like myself, I'll say like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, the Springfield Armory, those types of companies, a little bit more established, and yeah, they might be a little bit more money, but I just find that you can trust them more. Hell, even the Diamondback series of ARs, you can find those typically at a pretty good price. But if you want a step above that, right, if you want something just a little bit different, but you want a 5.56, the SIG 516 might be a good place to start. Now, these guns have been discontinued. They've been replaced by the Tread series and the 716 series of rifles. And so those are direct impingement guns. They're going to be more, more in line with like that Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Springfield Armory type of, I call them mid-level guns, but they're going to be better than what you'll find on the lower end, but they're not going to be like exceptional in any way. The SIG 516 though is a different animal altogether. The same designers of the H&K 416 actually designed the 516 as well. And there's a couple of different things here. While it looks like a traditional AR, it's got a couple of advantages. First being the short stroke gas piston system. It is incredibly smooth. It's also got a really good trigger in it. And those two things combined make an incredibly smooth AR. ARs in 5.56 or 2.23 don't have a lot of recoil anyways, but that 5.16 is just on another level, which is the whole idea of this video, right? It really is. And like I said, I know they're discontinued. They can still be found, a little bit harder. They're going to be kind of expensive, but man, that is such a great AR. If you want something that's more readily available, the CZ Bren 2 MS in 5.56, you can get the carbine version if you want. And that is just, again, on another level, right? It's right around $2,000, so they're not cheap by any means, but we're talking about guns that just offer you more. And the CZ Bren 2 MS is a perfect example, or the Bren 2 carbine is just fantastic. Side charging handle instead of the traditional AR style charging handle. Incredibly smooth. Fantastic triggers in them. The battery of arms is awesome. The gun's easy to take apart. I mean, I've done a review now on the Bren 2 MS, and I absolutely love that thing. And they actually come with a decent set of iron sights straight from the factory. They also come with an adjustable gas system, which the SIG 516 does as well. One more that I'll throw in here. This is the B&T APC 556. I am a true believer in this gun. And again, 5.56 guns typically bore me, not because I don't appreciate them, and not because I don't believe that you should have them, because I think you should. 5.56, especially in America, is one of those go-to rounds. I just find traditional ARs just kind of boring. There's nothing more to it than that. I like them, I respect them, I'm glad I have them, I'm glad I own them, and I suggest them to people. Just gets kind of boring to do a review on a traditional AR. But there's nothing traditional about these guns I'm talking about right now, and the B&T is probably the pinnacle of 5.56 guns that really break the mold. Again, we have an adjustable gas system, we have a piston-driven gun, side charging handle, and one of the smoothest operating guns that I've ever used. I mean, it really is like the Swiss watch of rifles. Battery of arms, bolt release, all that stuff is right there where it should be. Safety, easy to engage, adjustable and side folding stock. Boom. There you go. And it takes traditional, AR style mags. And so if you just want a 5.56 gun that is going to be a step above any of the other competitors out there, these are three really good options right here. Now there's one pistol that we have access to that there's so much R&D that has gone into this gun that it'd be silly to not take advantage of it, and that is the Beretta M9. Specifically the M9A3 or the M9A4. These are fantastic guns, right? When the US military was looking to have one sidearm, all 5 branches wanted the same exact gun. And so Beretta actually narrowly beat out SIG, Heckler & Koch, Smith & Wesson, FN. I mean, there was a lot of companies that they beat out. And, even the companies that they beat, sometimes when you have these trials that go on, you can get one heck of a gun, because even the companies that lose in those trials have so much R&D into those pistols or rifles or whatever, that on the civilian side, we get the benefit of that because we know we're generally going to be getting a really tough and reliable pistol. And that's kind of what the Beretta is, and all of the different iterations. I specifically like the M9A3. I like the M9A4 as well. If you want one more round in the magazine, if you want a little bit better better trigger, and also the ability to mount an optic. But the M9A3 has been just fantastic. They made a number of changes to the A3 and A4, which I believe make it more shootable than the old M9s, okay? Now, the Vertex style grip, I think, has been one of the best changes that they've made because it's a little bit thinner. It's a little bit more accessible to people with any size hands, really, you know, from the smallest hands even up to the largest hands, because they still do have that older style if that's something that you want to go with, okay? I think this pistol actually came with that older style too, so it's kind of a win-win. Of course, you have an aluminum lower frame. You have a little bit of weight here, so this is a great gun for home defense. It's a great training pistol and just a great self-defense gun all the way around. Threaded barrel, so if you do want to run a suppressor, you can absolutely do that. Now, I believe the A4s are decocker only now, which is what this version is. Some of them in the A3s and the older models would be like decocker only or decocker in safety, but now they're just decocker only for the A4s, and that's what this one is as well. So your first shot, it's going to be that longer double action there, and then the subsequent shots are actually going to be the nice single action. And like I said, it's got an incredible trigger on it. It's got an awesome set of night sights on the gun, and just everything about it. The way it breaks down, super simple. There's just not a lot that I don't like about this gun. But if you want one of the toughest double to single actions out there, and it's been proven since, like I said, the mid-80s, the Beretta M9 series is fantastic. Even better is that you can get some of the old trade-in guns and some of the original M9s or M9A1s for a lot cheaper than what you can the A3s and A4s. So they kind of range all over the place, but they truly are a step above when it comes to double to single action pistols on the market. But that's not to say that the pistol that it beat out in the SIG P226 is any less better. This really just came down to cost, quite frankly. And I believe the P226 and P229 variants are, again, one of the better double to single action pistols out there. Now, of course, with this lineup in the 226, you can get the single action only, which is going to be fantastic if you want to teach somebody. If you, again, self-defense, home defense, that type of stuff, they are going to be great. Conceal carry, they're pretty heavy, and so is the M9, to be quite honest with you. But if you're going with outside the waistband carry, these are two really viable options. This one is the Legion series. So a couple of benefits that you'll get with the 226 or 229 is specifically the sights. To me, they are a little bit better. You got that X-ray day-night sight in the front on the Legion, and it is just so easy to pick up that sight, kind of a blacked out rear, and so your eye is just drawn to that bright green dot in the front. The Legion also has a little bit better trigger. Now, they have done some really good things. They got the short reset trigger in there. The brake, there's very little travel in the trigger. The reset is good. Now, aside from the fantastic trigger that's especially in the Legion series, you also have the decocker is in a little bit different area, okay? So if you don't like the decocker being up on the slide, this one's actually down here on the frame. So let's say you got the gun cocked and locked, it's ready to go, but you obviously want to drop that hammer safely. You can do that with the little mechanism that's right here on the side and drop that hammer safely, allowing you to carry it just like that in the ready position. So it does make it a little bit more convenient. G10 style grips on this gun, and there's a ton of different iterations. It would be a really long video for me to go through every 229, every 226, the 220, the 228. There's a lot of them out there. But if you want a gun that's a little bit more compact than the Beretta, the 229 is great. If you want one that's about the same size as the Beretta, the 226 is a good option. And again, you're going to get a little bit better sight picture on these guns. They do make them where they're optics ready now, and the decocker is in a much better position. But when we break away from those main differences, really it's aesthetics. You know, front and rear slide serrations you have on the P229 as well. So you're going to get little things like that. I don't know that I would say this one is better than that one. There's a couple of things I like better on this one that the Beretta doesn't have. But either way, if you're looking for a good double to single action gun or single action only, either the M9 or the P226, P229 series of guns is going to be a step above the other guns out there in this category. Now, when we're talking about guns that are on another level, there's no way I could do this video and not mention Canik. And you may be thinking, well, why would you choose Canik? Well, specifically the SFX Rival is amongst one of the best, if not the best, striker fire guns that I've ever bought, but it's also the things that come with the gun. No other manufacturer sends you a holster, you know, all of the optics plates, extra fiber optics, aluminum and the polymer base plates, entire cleaning kit. I mean, there's so much value that they give you with these pistols. And again, to me, I think it's unmatched from any other manufacturer out there. Matter of fact, most manufacturers, you're lucky to get an extra magazine, you know. But these guys just do it upright. You know, you get 2 mags, 3 mags in some cases. And this gun has been, like I said, one of the best, if not the best striker fire pistol I have, and that's saying a lot because I've reviewed a ton of them, but this one has one very special feature, and they have actually lightened up that trigger. It's a flat face trigger. You get to the wall, it pulls right through. I mean, there is very little guesswork with this trigger at all. It's got an awesome reset. The battery of arms on the gun, super easy to rack, right? And it's got very aggressive front and rear slide serrations. It's got a nice fiber optic there in the front. You got some relief cuts in here. And I mean, granted, this gun, as big as it is, you're looking at 29.5 ounces, so that's fairly respectable. And of course, you know, having a polymer lower obviously helps, but at the same time, I find that the weight is very respectable considering the size of the gun. Ambidextrous controls as far as your slide stop, and you can reverse your magazine release. You have different back straps you can run on here. Overall, this gun is just absolutely fantastic, and not only unmatched in the way that it shoots, but unmatched in the things that come with it. And then when it comes to concealed carry, if you know my channel, you know what I'm going to say. The M&P Shield Plus is still the king of concealed carry in my opinion. This one right here is the Performance Center. So you're going to get the nice fiber optics on here. And of course, you can get these with night sights. You can get them that are optics ready. This one is optics ready, by the way. You can get them with the 4-inch barrel or the 3.3-inch barrel. You got front and rear slide serrations. And you have probably the best trigger when it comes to these thinner carry guns. It's got a flat face trigger. You hit the wall, boom, it breaks. Again, very little guesswork. Now, we just left the competition realm in the SFX Rival, but the same things that that gun is good at apply to a good carry gun as well, including a good trigger and a gun that you feel very comfortable with shooting, that's not going to be too snappy in your hand, that you feel like, you know, you're going to be competent with and confident to use it if the need ever arises. And that's one thing that you're going to get with the M&P Shield Plus. Very thin profile, but it's still tall enough and comfortable enough in the hand where you can get a solid purchase on the gun. Front and rear slide serrations, awesome magazine compatibility. So you have 10, 13, or 15 rounds in these guns that you can utilize. And they're made in the USA. And they have a lifetime warranty. And they come in at a price that a lot of people can afford. The biggest thing, though, is the reliability and the shootability of the Shield Plus make it the best carry gun on the market and a step above the rest, at least in my opinion. So there you go, man. There are 7 guns that are just quite simply on another level. I'd love to hear some of the guns maybe you agree with or disagree with in this list, or leave your own guns that you think are some of the best and tell me why. Maybe if you guys like this video, I'll do a part 2. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. You could also join the channel right here and become a part of the SHOT Team. All of those links are down below in the description. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.